Hello, I'm Nancy Christopher. The final months and days of a person's journey here on Earth do not have to be a painful and difficult time. Hospice helps people live the final days to the fullest by providing compassionate, holistic care in their home, surrounded by their loved ones. Hospice is an option for someone who's suffering from a terminal or life-threatening illness, who can no longer benefit from curative treatment, and who has a life expectancy of 6 months or less. Hospice not only concentrates on pain control during those final days, but also centers around improving the end of life for a patient by offering comfort and dignity. The focus is on caring, not curing.
The philosophy is to give them comfort, usually within their homes, the place where they want to be, and focusing on those things that are still important to them. So curative treatment is no longer important to them because it doesn't work. So we focus on their symptoms, we focus on family issues, things they might want to close out at the end of their lives.
Hospice care is designed to take place in the home, but home can be different things for different people.
Home can be in the home that they've lived in for the last 20 or 30 years. It could be a group home that they've been living in. It could be a nursing home.
Hospice is covered by Medicare, Medicaid, and most private insurance companies and provides care for people of all ages, from infancy through the elderly. Hospice professionals provide many different services and are on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are specially trained to assess and treat all types of physical symptoms. Many different members make up the hospice team, including physicians, nurses, aides, social workers, chaplains, bereavement counselors, and volunteers.
Because there's so many aspects that have to be looked at and attended to. And so not any one person can attend to all these things. The physicians can't, the nurse can't attend to everything. That's why it is a team approach.
Health professionals say that the team approach allows them to give the best overall care.
All of us in the hospice team, our roles overlap somewhat. We all work together, we try to flow information and work interdependently so that we're bringing the sum of our parts greater than being each individual.
The hospice team works closely with the patient and family to develop a personalized care plan. The patient and family members are the core of the overall team.
I didn't always know what was going to come next, and they had the experience. They knew, and compassionately they gave me direction, what to expect next.
And I think one of the important parts is that people understand the natural course of the illness. They understand what is happening to them. A family understands what's happening to their loved one. They know at least as much as we can prepare them what to expect, so that they're calm and they understand that it's okay and they know where they can get help.
We make sure that the patient and their families are involved, and we do everything we can that the patient gets involved in the decision-making process, quality of life issues, family issues, social issues, psychological issues. We can't treat anybody without addressing all those issues.
One important issue addressed with patients is completing an advance directive, a statement of their individual wishes for care at the end of their life. Making those wishes clear is a tremendous gift to family and caregivers, helping them to know they're respecting and supporting the choices their loved one has made.
The patient and the family have an active role in what's going on. And sometimes that's the first time that the patient has had control of their situation. I think it's very empowering for them to have some control of what's going to happen in the last stage of their life.
Hospice physicians work closely with the patient's current doctor to help develop a care plan. Physicians also collaborate directly with the nurses.
The nurse and the physician work very closely together because the aim is to bring as much care into that patient's home. We want the patient to be comfortable, we want the family to understand how to help that patient so that the patient can remain at home until they die if they wish. The role of the hospice nurse is to provide the patient and family with guidance and support throughout the journey, from the time that they start with hospice through the time that the patient dies. And then, of course, hospice stays with that family and connects with them for 13 months after the patient dies.
Nurses also focus on pain management.
We do not want the patient to suffer unnecessarily. We cannot take away all of the emotional hurts and the grief and the sorrow that may be a part of their journey. But what we can do is relieve the physical suffering and help the family and the patient prepare as best we can so that they can be as well in all dimensions as possible.
While the physical pain and symptoms are met and cared for by nurses, a patient's personal needs must also be met. And quite often it can be too much for a family caregiver to handle on their own. That's where hospice aides can help.
The role of a home health aide is basically patient care, personal cares, bathing and dressing, but we also get to go in and sometimes just spend some time with the patient so the caregivers can get out, visit, play cards, whatever really the patient wants to do.
Hospice had a woman come in and give Betty a bath 3 days of the week, which I know meant a lot to Betty. And actually, when she came in, that's the only time I could get out of the house and do something.
It's the role of the social worker to help patients access the hospice program and then support patients and families emotionally.
Initially, we do consults with people looking into coming into our program. So we go out and meet with patients and families, explain the program, answer questions, and then provide ongoing emotional support for the patient and their family. As patients' needs increase physically, their families' needs emotionally increase, and that's part of my role, is to ensure that those needs are being met.
Hospice is open and honest about the death expectancy or what to expect in the process. We talk about the healing process after his death would occur. It's so nice to have someone to talk to and say, how am I supposed to feel? How are we as a family supposed to cope? And they have answers. They're there.
I think most people appreciate an honest, open discussion about where things are, what's important. Let's talk about things that are important, that we can focus on, that may make a difference in whatever time you have left.
The spiritual needs of a patient are met by a chaplain, available to anyone who desires those services.
Hospice tries to meet all the needs, the physical, emotional, psychosocial, and also the spiritual. And the big way we do that is to assess what the patient wants. The chaplain, as in my role, I don't go in and give the patient my own beliefs or my own spiritual practices. I go in and see what the patient desires. It's always their agenda, their needs, their goals.
Volunteers are also an integral part of the hospice team. According to the Hospice Foundation of America, over 95,000 people volunteer for hospice annually, providing over 5 million hours of care.
As a volunteer, I like to think we do anything and everything that will help the patient and the family through their ordeal. Sometimes it's simply sitting with the patient and being there and caring for whatever the needs they have. Do whatever the caregiver has for you to do, be it wash the dishes or anything that can be done. Grocery shopping is an item that a lot of us do.
Hospice care does not end after the patient dies. That's when some of their most important work is done, helping families and loved ones grieve.
I think within our society, death, dying, grief is something so often ignored, not talked about. We don't even use the terms dead and dying so often. And we talk about passed on or many different euphemisms. And I think it's important to make it a part of life because it very much is. And with that, I think that people will make the transitions easier throughout their lives. We reach out to the new survivors, the recent survivors, with phone contacts, visits, mailings. We work also with support groups. A lot of mental and physical problems can occur if the problems and feelings are not dealt with along the way.
12-year-old Andrew Thiel was diagnosed with brain cancer as a baby. After being in and out of the hospital many times, Andrew, with the help of hospice care, is now able to spend quality time at home, surrounded by his family.
Hospice was an opportunity for us to sit back, so to say, and enjoy what quality or what time he had left in his life. We're able to keep him in our home environment. We no longer have to go to the clinic for appointments, or he doesn't have to be hospitalized for anything. We're able to maintain our lives at home. We're able to be a family.
Andrew enjoys his time with his family and also his relationship with the hospice staff.
He's able to communicate with Trish in a way I've never seen this relationship with any of his caregivers. They have a very special, a very close bond. He can talk to her about anything.
It is hard to know that he's young and going to die, but to know that if we weren't here, he'd be spending the majority of his time in the hospital, and he probably would have been sick. And he wouldn't have been able to have the time he wants with his family, doing the things he wants to do.
I hope he's been able to teach people to live life one day at a time, appreciate the little things. He's truly an amazing kid.
How can I help you to say goodbye? It's okay to hurt, and it's okay to cry.
I always say to patients, it's a beautiful thing to be there when there's a birth of a child. And it's a blessed and beautiful thing to be there when someone is birthed from this life into the next. I think of it as being a midwife to the soul.
Come, let me hold you, and I will try. How can I help you to say goodbye?
I love the patients and the families that I meet. I'm continuously inspired by them, the grace that they show in dealing with this most difficult situation.
It's not a depressing job. It's a sad job at times. I get so much more out of what I put into my job. It teaches me to take every day fully, live it very fully, say what I need to say today, because tomorrow's not promised to any of us.
Sitting with Mama, alone in her bedroom, she opened her eyes and then squeezed my hand. She said, I have to go now, my time here is over. And with her final words, she tried to help me understand.
Betty was a giver. She never complained once through the whole thing. She died on September the 11th. At least she was able to die at home.
Mama whispered softly, time will ease your pain. Life's about changing, nothing ever stays the same.
They are an amazing group of people, an amazing program that offers hope. They offer encouragement. They offer friendship. They're a phone call away. They're there 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. No question is too silly. No question is treated as it's a burden. They always have an answer. It's just an amazing, empowering program. I don't know where we'd be without it.
Having someone there to help us to continue to live our life, to spend our time together that we had, was very, very important.
How can I help you to say goodbye? It's okay to hurt, and it's okay to cry. Come, let me hold you, and I will try. How can I help you to say goodbye?